On this channel, we explore pretty in-depth concepts, from biomolecules to summation. But an important thing to note is that we need to have a more fundamental foundation behind those subjects, whether it be understanding what the cell is to mastering quick mathematical skills. Which is why we're starting Auxin Essentials, a series where we provide math and science tips, tricks, and help to help you get a better foundation on your educational pathway. And for the first video on Auxin Essentials, we're going to talk about multiplication, and a multiplication trick that changed my perspective on multiplication equations themselves. And it all stems from a pretty simple formula. A plus b times a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. It's a pretty simple formula that you learn in 7th grade or Algebra 1, but can really be translated to multiplication equations alike. How, you might ask? You don't see much multiplication within there. Maybe this one multiplication between these two units and numbers of a plus b and a minus b, but let's take a look at some equations. 77 times 63 and 81 times 99. An important thing to note in this trick is that a is the average of the two numbers that we're multiplying, and b is the distance from the average. Distance from average. Or the number value that these numbers that you're multiplying are away from the average. Let's take a look at the first equation, 77 times 63. The average of these two numbers is 70, which is going to be our a. And the distance from the average, or how far away these numbers are from 70, is 7. So that is going to be our b. So we have 77, which is 70 plus 7, and 70 minus 7, which is nothing but 63, is now filling our equation of a plus b times a minus b. So that means once we have these parts and integral parts of this equation, we can actually get these two numbers to equate to 70 squared minus 7 squared. From basic knowledge of squares, we can get that it's nothing but 4900 minus 49, and from there we can get our answer, 4851. Nothing more to it. Likewise, let's do it to 81 times 99. The average of these two numbers is 90, and the distance away from this average is 9, which means that 81 can be simplified to 90 minus 9, or in this case a minus b, which we're going to have on our left side this time, and 99 will simplify to 90 plus 9. So let's simplify that to the value of the solution of this equation, which is 90 squared minus 9 squared. That's nothing but 8100 minus 81, and that gives us our final answer of 8019. Again, nothing more to it. But the thing is, this trick doesn't have to only apply to numbers whose average is a multiple of 10, but really with any number that you're comfortable with squaring. Let's take a look at 31 times 11. The average of these two numbers is 21, and the distance between the average and one of these numbers, the d, we'll just say, is 10, which means that if we put this into an equation, we can get 21 plus 10, or 31 in this case, times 21 minus 10, or also can be simplified to 11, is nothing but 21 squared minus 10 squared. If you're familiar with the squares of numbers in their 20s, you can get that 21 squared is nothing but 441, and 10 squared is nothing but 100. Simplify that further, and you get 341. Final answer. Nothing more to it. But even then, the number's average doesn't even have to be an integer. Really, let's take another equation, 31 times 20. From our basic knowledge of mathematics, we know that the answer is 620, and you can keep that in mind to check back with our answer. Really, let's try and find the average of these two numbers, which is nothing but 25.5, and the distance between these two averages is nothing but 5.5. So let's try and plug that in. 25.5 plus 5.5 times 25.5 minus 5.5 is nothing but 25.5 squared minus 5.5 squared. Now, if we square these two numbers, we can get that 25.5 squared is nothing but 650.25 minus 5.5 squared, which is 30.25. 0.25, and then when we subtract these numbers, we can get rid of these 0.25s because they're taking them away from each other, and 650 minus 30 is nothing but 620. Again, nothing more to it. You might be asking yourself, how do we get this 25.5 squared to get 650.25? And that is a really good question, and it's something that we'll explore in a later video, quite possibly next video, on how to square numbers ending with 5. So that I hope that you got a better understanding of this new perspective of mathematics. Taking the simple equation a plus b times a minus b, we can really get a better understanding of how we can take a look at a different perspective of mathematical equations. And as always, don't be afraid to use this trick. It all comes with learning and experience. So I hope you've enjoyed this first video of Auxin Essentials. And as always, keep learning.